Good evening. I am your host, Jack Remington. Today is the picks for Week 13 in the National Football League season 2021. Sentence before I get started was 2 wins, 3 losses last week. So the last 6 weeks, I've gone 2 and 3, 3 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 2, and 2 and 3. So I'm going 500 the last 7 weeks. That's not getting me anywhere. I've been in a mid-season fog. So I'm starting to see things a little clearly. We're going to pick it up. We're going to smash this thing. If we were in the contest right now, we'd be in spot number 53. We're 3 places out of the money. That's unacceptable. But we're getting the mistakes out now during our little simulator here. And next year is going to be the real deal. And this channel is going to blow up because I'll be going to Vegas and it'll be on a weekly thing. Well, they're already documented now on pregame.com, but they'll be documented pregame.com and the contest itself next year. We're going to do very well. I'm normally not a very confident person, but I'm confident in my ability to pick NFL football games. But I'm not too confident. I was sitting at 0-3 and lost the first 3 games on my card last week, and I felt pretty good about the Bengals. And that was the best bet. But then I needed the Washington football team to make sure it won its game against Seattle, and I got called into work. I couldn't watch the game. I watched some of the other games. I couldn't watch that game. And I was going to make one comment: is the Washington football team, their time of possession, they destroyed Seattle. It was 42 minutes versus their 16 or 18, whatever it was. They had twice as many plays as they did. They didn't have a penalty until 20 minutes left in the game. Then they all had several penalties, and it almost cost them the game. On a point after touchdown, the guy kicked the ball, and Seattle blocked it, and he run it all the way back. And they awarded him 2 points. I thought there was 1 point, but you know what? It's been so many years, I haven't seen that so long. I thought you only got to 2 points if you're trying for 2-point conversion. I haven't had time to do any research on that. Leave the comments below about that. I felt lucky to win that game. I mean, I felt Washington is a better team, but they almost blew it. I mean, by not having a kicker, not being able to kick a field goal late in the game like that. Riverboat Ron, he's a gambler, Ron Rivera, and he used to do this with Carolina too, and it cost him a couple games. So I finished 2 and 3, but I was looking at 0 and 5, and that's unacceptable. The Washington football team, their defense is well rested because their offenses keep staying on the field, and I like them in their chances against the Raiders. Pick number 1 is we're taking the Detroit Lions +7. Of course, Detroit's 10-1. They're against the spread record. They're 7 wins and 4 losses versus the Vikings 6 wins and 5 losses against the spread. But the Vikings their away record is 2 wins, 4 losses. Of course, Detroit hasn't won a game at home yet. They're one of a few teams that have not won at home yet. I believe Philadelphia is the other one. And for the first 6 weeks of the season, New England's one of them too. I like Detroit in this spot here. I'm getting 7 points. They played them tough already. They lost 19-17. They had to kick a last-second field goal. And if I remember correctly, you can leave in the comments below, Detroit took the lead with 33 seconds left in the game, and they were at Minnesota. Minnesota jumped out to a 13-0, 12 or 13 or 14-0 lead. And then Detroit comes storming back, and then the next thing you know, they're winning 17-16. It was 17-16. They came back with 33 seconds left, and they had 1 timeout left. And that was because there was a certain penalty that went against Detroit. They got to save one last timeout. Minnesota gets the ball back, and they somehow got within, 57-yard, 58, and they kicked a 58-yard field goal with 1 second left and stole that game from them. So Detroit had a rash of bad luck in the first 5-6 weeks of the season. Detroit is going to win a game this year. I mean, their defense is actually not that bad. Their special teams are not that bad. The Vikings, good offense, but special teams, defense falling apart. They're on the field too long. And I keep saying this on every video, Mike Zimmer's on the hot seat, and the seat's getting a little hotter and hotter. They're going to give Campbell a year or two, and then they'll get rid of him. Campbell's not on the hot seat. His team is fighting. They're 7-4 against the spread. I think it's a good spot to take Detroit in 7. It's a home dog. Home dog's been 3-2, 3-2, 3-2 the last 3 weeks. The home dog's starting to turn it around a little bit. I'm taking the Detroit Lions, be what it may. Pick number 2. We're going to take the Denver Broncos +10, and they're at the resurgent, the fashionable, the kick-ass Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody keeps forgetting, and I couldn't find not one video the last 2 weeks, not one, on any other sports things I follow when I get a chance. Last 2 weeks, no one has talked about this. They're still the Super Bowl loser last year. And I'm telling you, that Super Bowl hangover is going to rear its ugly head again. We're going to take the Denver Broncos. If you had told me at the beginning of the year that the Broncos were going to be 6-5 at this time of the year, and also against a spread, but again, Denver is another one of these teams that does better away than they do at home. They're 3-2 away, but 3-3 at home. So they're a little, one less game, but still, they're head-to-head. And we'll talk about that really quick. The Kansas City has kicked the crap out of the Broncos. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I see 10 wins in a row by Kansas City. So it's 5 in a row at Arrowhead. They have not won at least 5 years at Arrowhead. Kansas City has covered the spread 8 times out of the last 10. Kansas City has B-slapped the Broncos. I think it turns around tonight or Sunday. I think they're going to do it. I think the Broncos are going to they're going to play like they played against the Dallas Cowboys. And that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on a performance like that. They just got upset recently by, was it Philadelphia? I'll pull it really quick here. The time is of the essence. November 14th, just a couple weeks ago, they were hosting Philadelphia, and they lost 13-30. And it looked pretty bad, too. They were only favored by a point, but still. Think about this. Okay, the week before, they'd spanked the Dallas Cowboys 30-16. And the game was so bad that the network turned... Because they were down 30-0 with 5 minutes left, there was 7 minutes left. They switched the game. I forgot what game took its place. And I saw later on that they scored 16 points, but I think Denver just gave it to them. It was anticlimactic. The game was well in hand. Denver beat them in all 3 phases of the game. Just jumped on the Dallas Cowboys bandwagon, and it cost me. If anybody watched that game, you would know that the Broncos got an awesome team. But I brought up the Philadelphia game the very next week. They had a letdown, and they were at home too. And I should have seen it coming. The game was tight. I just pulled it up really quick. I'm trying to make the picks go quick for you. Philadelphia jumped into a 10-point lead. It was 10-0 in the first quarter. Then they both teams scored 10 points second quarter. So it's 20-10 halftime. Then Denver kicks a field goal. It cuts it down to 7. And then they were driving the ball. And they were going to actually be looking to go ahead by 4 points, but they had a pick 6 and got run all the way back. And Teddy Bridgewater just his half-ass effort, and it was like a cancer. It went through. It was spread through the whole team, and that's important because if your leader your quarterback is the field general. If he's not going to put any effort into tackling a guy, try to stop him, whatever, it's like, what are you doing? Aren't you trying to win? And there's been problems with Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater is a quarterback that he had this pussy-ass handshake, and the owner got pissed off when he was shopping around for teams, and he said, we're not selling this guy. He got the general manager and said, get this guy out of here, he's not playing on my team. So look that up. There's something not quite right with this guy. It's like, no, I'm getting paid. I'm not going to hurt myself. He's only going to go out so far. That's not good for leadership of your team. And hope that the coach of the Broncos, Nick Fangio, whatever his name is, I hope he gets that under control. But there was no way they should have lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. But they did. But they got it back on track with the Los Angeles Chargers, and they beat them 28-13. That's the Broncos team. They won the last 3 out of 4. They were at Cleveland. They only lost 14-17. They were with it. And the week before that, they were at Las Vegas, beat them 34-24. But the game was competitive. But again, that game there, Bridgewater, you can see he didn't give the effort that you really want to see with that. I just think this is a division rivalry. I think Kansas City's still overrated. I think Kansas City's, and you know what? Kansas City they're not scoring that many points, are they? Talk about Kansas City really quick here. Look at Kansas City's last 10. Okay, they've won 4 in a row. And we're going to start with the Tennessee where they got smashed 27-3. In the game that was nowhere near competitive. This is what they done. They beat the Giants 20-17. They beat Green Bay 13-7. There was no Aaron Rodgers. They stomped the Las Vegas Raiders 41-14. When that fake punt and the guy was picking his nose and the guy caught it for the first, I turned the game off. Because Raiders looked like they were going to try to come back. And they beat Dallas 19-9. So they scored 20, then 13, and 41 against the Ravens, and 19 against them. So their offense is not really scoring that many points. Okay, look at the points they scored from September 19th. Okay, I'll just read what they scored. 35, 24, 42, 20, 31. They were scoring points like gangbusters like a couple years ago. And now those 5 games, they only won 2 of the 5. They beat Washington and they beat the Philadelphia. They lost the Baltimore Chargers and the Buffalo Bills. So we're going to go with the Denver Broncos. Plus 10. Division rivalry, I think it stops here. And put some sprinkle on the money line. I'll make sure I make a post on my pregame.com. I hope I don't forget. I'm so tired. Pick number 3. Should have my head examined for this one. The New York Jets +7, and they're hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this one's bad because the metrics are not in my favor with this game. What I mean metrics is I use a combination. I have a formula for it. I'm only going to discuss 3 of the metrics. The first metric is against public, the number of bets and everything. And I got to say this right now and clarify this. If you want to bet against the public and be a contrarian better, you'll have some success if you pick your spots, but everybody keeps thinking that the public is always wrong. Sometimes the public wins, and I'm going to tell you why. If the public never won, they'd stop gambling. If they never had the occasional lucky win or any kind of a win, just even if it's a long streak before they have another win, they got to win once in a while to keep the game going. Okay, I hope you understand that concept. The public sometimes wins. I mean, they're not always the loser. They usually lose, but not always. And that's good. That's a good thing. You want the public to beat your ass once in a while because it makes you regroup like I'm regrouping. It's a great thing if the public and the public bettors, they always bet the favorites and they always bet the overs. That's 85% of the time, and you should know that if you have any experience in this business. Second metric I use is if it's divisional rivalry performance. Now, I'll just use Denver and Kansas City as an example. Kansas City's bitch slapped them for at least 10 times in a row. I mean, sooner or later, they're going to wake up with a team enough that's going to turn that around. And I just think that this is the week that's going to happen. I think Kansas City's been a Super Bowl loser. They're back, and but the metrics in the Denver Broncos, Kansas City, it's 60-40 for the public numbers. The division performance, metric number 2, I think Denver is going to do it. But we'll see. The third metric is the health of the teams, and they were talking about an exhausted team, and the guy had him on the phone a couple of days ago, and he thinks that the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the most exhausted teams. And it just looked like Ben Roethlisberger running out of gas, but they kept Ben Roethlisberger in for the entire game. They were getting beat 31-3, wherever it was. Why do you got Ben Roethlisberger in that game and you can't win the game? The game was over at halftime. Put Rudolph back in there, get him some more reps, get him some reps. But I'm not Rooney Jr. or Rooney the Third. Who am I? So but pick number 3. I got a little ahead of myself. The New York Jets were taken against the metrics. Okay, matter of fact, the play is actually, according to the metrics, is the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's a 77% chance for 77% chance that the Eagles are going to cover the spread. But I'm not going to take the Eagles. I'm going to take the Jets. The Jets play well at home. I got them on my power rating. The Jets is one of the bottom 5 teams. They're a bottom feeder. However, I'm going to read really quickly the Jets at home. They stunk it up, but they lost to New England. But everybody getting lose by New England, 25-6. Okay, but at home, then they lost to Denver 26-0, and it looked terrible, looked bad. But on October 3rd, they beat Tennessee in overtime, 27-24. Next home game, Cincinnati Bengals. They beat them 34-31. That game knocked me out of my survivor pool, so that's why I remember that game so well. And Cincinnati was beaten by 11 points in midway, 7 minutes left in the game. And then they lost to Buffalo 17-45. They're kind of not looking too good. And then they lost to Miami 17-24. But the game was competitive, and they had their shots. And we had the Jets back then too. The Jets are going to do it. I think the Jets are going to hang tough. Now, and it's a stretch to have the Jets win 2 in a row, but I think they're going to do it. Philadelphia hurts. The quarterback is questionable. He hurts. They got Gardner Minshew, who I think is a very good backup quarterback. By the way, he was with Jacksonville. I think his very first game he was like 16 for 18 for. He completed his first 13 passes or something. He tied some record for a first appearance as a rookie in the NFL, completing the passes. I think Gardner Minshew III, I think he's a good quarterback. If Hurts plays, I like the Jets' chances. I would rather take the 7 than get in the late as 7, take Philadelphia late as 7. So what I'm trying to tell you is it's the dog or pass. We're taking the dog. Pick number 4, another one. The metrics are not in his favor because it's like 83% of all the handle is going on to Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals -3 against the Chargers, and this is a very intriguing game. The Chargers got a good offense, but they have new defense. Now on covers.com it's only 70-30, but the other side I have, it's got 82% of the tickets are coming in on the Bengals. The money is pouring on the Bengals. That's usually a bad sign. This is what I'm looking at. They're both fairly healthy. Okay, the Chargers. Okay, They had won 3 in a row going into the second week of October, but then they lost to Baltimore and New England, and the Baltimore destroyed them. They lost to New England at home. They were favored to beat New England. They were at Philadelphia and they won 27-24, but then they lost at home, lost to Minnesota 20-27. They did beat Pittsburgh 41-37 in a wild game. I mean, it was, again, offense. But they just got slonkered at Denver 13-28. They were actually favored in that game. They were the road favorite to beat the Broncos because of this big offense. But they're dead last in the run defense in the NFL, and their pass defense is 25th out of 32. So the number 32 against the run and number 25 against the pass, where the Bengals are, I think, are 12 and 14 respectively. And I think the Bengals are going to step it up. They're not going to make the mistake they had when they had a big win against a division rival the other week and stink up the place. They slayed Baltimore 41-17, and the Jets were. They were at the New York Jets and they lost 31-14, but that was on the road. So this game's at home. Cincinnati's a home team here. I just think the Bengals are going to do it. I think, like I said last week, I think the Bengals are on the way up, and both teams again do better on the road. Both these teams do better on the road than they do at home. That seems to be a big trend in the NFL last 2 years. Chargers are 3-2 away, so it's 600 ball, but they're 3-3 at home. The Bengals are 4-2 away and only 3-2 at home. But the metrics are really heavy in favor of the Chargers. And you got to remember, the Chargers didn't cover last week, and they're playing a team that did cover in Cincinnati. I'm going to buck this little, and I'm only laying 3 points. If the number was bigger, I might not make this play, but that's part of the game selection. Okay, so last pick number 5. Washington football team plus 2.5. This one, the metrics are actually in their favor because the money is just pouring in on the Raiders. The spread.com is bigger. It's almost 80% money's coming on the Raiders. They figured the Raiders just had a great performance, and what people remembered, they remember them beating the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, and we had the Raiders on the lean if you watch the whole video. But they remember them beating Dallas in overtime 36-33. But they had lost 3 in a row. They were at the Giants, lost 16-23. Home to Kansas City, that disaster of the game, 41-14 with the fake punt. Almost a repeat. The Bengals kicked the shit out of them at home. But they went to Dallas, and Dallas looked like they were going to rebound. And everybody and their brother was taking the Cowboys. We went with the Raiders. And now this week, everybody's taking, and their brother's taking the Raiders. We're going to take this the Washington football team. And that was a very, very strange game with Seattle. I mean, their time of possession, 41 minutes and 40 seconds. So Seattle only had the ball 18 minutes and 20 seconds. On the other side, I have on the spread. It showed, Washington had like 80 plays versus their 43 or 44. And Seattle had like 11 of the plays on the last drive of the game that almost tied the game up. I mean, they were 2.5 to 1 times more plays run. 20 minutes left in the game. Seattle had 6 penalties for 51 yards, and Washington didn't have a penalty. I mean, they were well disciplined. They got the last 4 penalties of the game, and it almost cost them. We're going to go with the Washington football team. I just think the Raiders, so much against them. They got so much adversity. They got on deck. This is on deck. They're going to have to go at Kansas City, so I think that's playing in their mind a little bit. Whereas Washington looking forward to having Dallas come home to Washington, D.C. So they might be looking a little bit ahead too, because they don't see each other very often, these two teams. But I'm getting 2.5 points. They've won 3 in a row now. They've covered the spread. We're going to keep riding. Raiders are up and down. Raiders got a great offense. That Derek Carr, great offense, but their defense is not that good. And if he can keep Derek Carr on the sideline like they just kept Russell Wilson on the sideline, I think they'll win the game outright. Put some sprinkle on the money line here. That's the 5 picks. So let's go really quick one more time. I'm taking home dog Detroit plus 7, hosting the Minnesota Vikings. Road dog Denver plus 10, they're at Kansas City. Taking home underdog New York Jets plus 7. Taking the home team Cincinnati minus 3, they're hosting the San Diego Chargers. Los Angeles Chargers, sorry. And we're taking a road dog Washington football team plus 2.5, they're at Las Vegas Raiders. So we got the total dog ticket. I mean, rest of the year, I'm going to just find those dogs. I'm going to just find, I'm going to keep picking favorites, and I'm doing okay with them. But you know what? The 500. I mean, I'm getting grinded down. I mean, I'm not even 60% anymore. I'm at 59%. That's unacceptable. So we're going to turn it around. We're going to start taking dogs. Let's review the rest of the games. Thursday night, Dallas at New Orleans. The metrics favor the Saints big time, but the Saints, we don't know if Camaro's going to play. We don't know if the other running back, Ingram's going to play. Taysom Hill, is he going to start or not? He's got a foot injury. They signed him up to some big contract, too. Dallas, getting some players back. But there's 4 players on the Dallas Cowboys coaching staff and one on their equipment staff, one on their physical training staff, their medical staff, come down with COVID-19 protocols, and Mike McCarthy is not going to be able to coach the team on the sideline. I think Dan Quinn got named the interim coach for release this week. So when I'm starting to see that shit with the COVID-19, I'm going to just pass this. This game is a total pass. Please don't play this game. Please don't. I don't care if you got inside information that the Saints are going to throw some kind of big-ass bomb. No. Don't play this game. Don't play this game. You see what they're doing with this crap, with this COVID crap, and I'm telling you, it's not good. It's not good for the sport either. Next game, the New York Giants at Miami. It's Miami -4. The metrics are way favoring Miami. 75% of the tickets are coming on the Dolphins. Is that a good thing? I mean, the Giants defense wakes up, and I smell a low-scoring game here. I very rarely do over-unders. I'm not good at it. I will be tempted to take the under in this game. But the Giants, they could win this game. But my lean is Miami. Next game up, the Indianapolis Colts -9. They're at the Houston Texans. My lean is on the Texans. I mean, 82% of the tickets coming on the Colts. The Houston got embarrassed by the Jets. But this is a division rivalry. They're not really worried about the Jets. They're worried about the Colts. The Colts have had the big lead against Baltimore and lost it. They had a big lead against Tampa. I mean, they can't close out games. And so it means I think Texas is live. And I'm looking for a backdoor cover with those points. Too many points. My lean is on the Texans with the points. We talked about the Detroit game. We got the Jets. Next game up, Arizona Cardinals -8 at the Chicago Bears. Metrics are heavily for the Cardinal beatdown here. But the Bears are home. But I don't know who the quarterback for the Bears is going to be. I don't know who the quarterback for Arizona is going to be. My lean would be on the Cardinals. Next game we got the Bengals. And we got Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. Division rivalry. 2 out of the 65% the tickets and money's coming on to Tampa. And but somehow, some way, somewhere, woke up and I see the Atlanta Falcons, they're 5 wins and 6 losses straight up. They're 5 wins, 6 losses against the spread. Another team that is great on the road and they suck at home. The Atlanta Falcons, they're 4 wins, 2 losses away as a road team. They're 0-4 at home. So it's the Philadelphia Eagles, Detroit Lions, and the Atlanta Falcons have not won a home game. I mean, just one of these teams just won their first home game just the other week. Oh, which one was it? Oh, my goodness. Which one was it? One of these teams won their very first home, the 49ers. I mean, the teams are just not winning at home. That's very concerning. But this team, as bad as the Falcons looked, I mean, they looked dreadful when Dallas beat down on 42-3 or wherever it was. They're just dreadful. Dreadful. I mean, I got them as the number 7 team, and they're on the bottom. And I got Tampa Bay as the number 2 team in the NFL. And Tampa Bay's got an injury list a mile long. They're up there with Cleveland and Green Bay and a couple other teams. No matter of fact, Tampa Bay's injury list just passed how bad Green Bay is. But Tampa Bay's 8 wins, 3 losses. There's one, I think they're 1 win away from clinching a wild card spot. They're 5-6 against the spread, the same as the Falcons. But Tampa Bay is perfect at home, but they're 3-3 away. And this is an away game, so something's got to give them. So could this be a spot for the Falcons to get their first home win? Now, they played once before, and they beat them by whatever. But you know what? It's Tampa Bay 48 and the Falcons 25. At halftime, it was 21-10. But the Falcons scored 15 points in the third quarter and made it 25-28, 3-point difference. And if the Falcons were moving in to take the lead, and they got a pick 6, and then they got the ball back. And the next play, another pick 6, and the next thing you know, Tampa scores 20 points fourth quarter to pull away 48-25. That game was closer than the score was indicated. They outsacked Tampa. They got Brady 3 times. They only got Matt Ryan once for 7 yards. Tampa had more penalties. Tampa lost the turnover battle. But passing yards, Atlanta had 293 yards passing versus Tom Brady's 259. And the rushes yards, the Falcons got 55 yards, but Tampa only got 82. This is against the Falcons. So my lean in this game, if you put the Chili Palmer and get Shorty, you put the gun in my head, my lean's on the Falcons. I mean, I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know I'm a Tom Brady fan, and they should mop up the floor with this Atlanta Falcons, but this team has hung in there. They have somehow got back in the wild card race. They're not out of it. This team has won 5 games. Somehow won 5 games. They're almost 5. If they win this game, they'll be 6-6 and right in the thick of it. And they've split with the division leader Tampa. My lean will be on the Falcons. You hold your nose and get 11 points. Tampa will probably win the game, but I'm looking for the Atlanta Falcons backdoor cover. I mean, they're alive. They're a live dog as far as I'm concerned. It's dog or pass. We lean towards the dog. We got the Redskins versus the Raiders next game, and we scratched this game. We were going to take this game, but after consideration, when you hear what I've got to say, you'll see why we scratched this game and picked a different game. Jacksonville Jaguars and Los Angeles Rams. Rams have not won a game in 5 weeks. They had their bye week too, but they haven't won a game in 5 weeks. But the metrics, Jaguars 89% chance to actually win the game, let alone cover that 13 points they're sticking on them. 87.5% of the tickets coming on the Rams, and both teams didn't cover last week. But the metrics are favoring the Jacksonville Jaguars very big, but I had them a couple weeks ago, and they stunk the joint up against the 49ers. If you put the gun to my head, I'm going to go against the metrics, and my lean is on the Rams. I think we were thinking that the Rams are going to just bitch slap the Jaguars, but Urban Meyer is going to prove to the world that he's a much better coach. And he's going to turn that franchise around. Next game, Baltimore Ravens. They're at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The metrics heavily favor the Ravens, only laying 4.5 points. Pittsburgh is the most exhausted team. They're the most decimated team. Their defense just got ravaged. They are the top defensive. They got the top defense with the most injuries. And Ben doesn't look good. Tomlin's he's been exposed for several years, but he's on the team. He's with organizations that don't like to switch head coaches. They love the continuity, and it's worked for them for a few decades, going back to the 1970s. That's their formula: continuity. But Tomlin inherited this team from Bill Cowher, and Bill Cowher inherited some of his players from Chuck Noll, who built the original Steel Curtain, if you guys remember. There was like a 7 or 8 year stretch here in the 70s and early 80s, and the Steelers were the team to beat. I mean, they had some awesome Mean Joe Green and Terry Bradshaw. Let's go. They had both offensive defense will be the Pro Bowl. They had stars everywhere. Mel Blount, one of the best defensive corners in the history of the league. Lynn Swann, John Stallworth, Franco Harris. I could talk all day on Jack Ham, Jack Lambert from Kent State. He went to Division II school, Kent State. But he was awesome. He was a beast. But they had him. But Cowher molded the team pretty good in his own way, too. But Tomlin, not so much. I just think Tomlin was the affirmative action hire because of the Rooney Rule and Mr. Rooney of the Steelers implemented. They had to hire Tomlin or they would have been discredited all the way around. And he's probably a good football person, but you know what? I've seen him make some horrible mistakes, kind of like Andy Reid-esque. Andy Reid, the coach of the Chiefs. I mean, trying to call a timeout when you're out of them. He stuck his foot out and tried to kick the Ravens punt return for a touchdown. He didn't get suspended for that. But old man Rooney would have fired him on the spot if he had been the owner in the old days. The son's nothing. But the old man Rooney, he's a good football owner. He was a great owner for Pittsburgh Steelers. He put up with them for being bottom feeders for 35 years. So they never won no more than 2-3 games. But when he got hired Chuck Noll turned it around. And we're going to tell you, I mean, this Tomlin, he's not impressive. He's got to go. If you put the gun to my head, I would lean on the Ravens because I would go against the metrics. I mean, the metrics speak Steelers and their home underdog. I just think their defense is shot, and the Ravens going to run the ball. Next game, San Francisco 49ers, -3. They're at the Seattle Seahawks. The metrics are way in favor of Seattle. I mean, 90% for the Seahawks. And I'm not going to take them because the Seahawks beat them once. And the 49ers have won 3 in a row. They've kind of turned it around to get a little healthier. They're a healthier team. Russell Wilson didn't play too good, but he didn't have the ball much against the Washington football team, a team that we did have last week. But you can see Russell Wilson in that last drive to try to tie the game up. They needed a touchdown with a 2-point conversion. Russell Wilson looked pretty good. That's when he looked the best, but that's when he needed him to be the best. You want your quarterback to look good in the fourth quarter, and I think Russell Wilson passed that test. But I just don't see them. I don't see him rising to the occasion. And I would go against the metrics. My lean would be on the 49ers. The Monday night game, New England Patriots, a rare spot where they're underdog, plus 2.5. They're at the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going to talk about that game for a minute. New England is the only team in the NFL that's won every away game. They're 5-0 on the road, but they're only 3-4 at home. They lost the first 4 home games, but they won the last 3. Buffalo, they're 4-2 away, and they're only 3-2 at home. Everybody anointed the Buffalo Bills as the division champion. Just this morning, Kay Duggar, the defensive back, out indefinitely illness. That's a COVID-19 thing, and is reported on December 1st. Jamie Collins, senior linebacker, questionable. The safety, Bledsoe, Monday, November 3rd, undisclosed. That might be the COVID. So the article came out when I was driving home that the Patriots are having some people that's on the COVID-19 protocol. That's why I scratched that game and replaced that. We went back with the Bengals. We took the Bengals over the Chargers. But the metrics were actually in favor of Buffalo because a lot of the money, 80% of the money is coming on the Patriots, and understandably so. They've won 6 in a row. They're the hottest team in football. Bill Belichick, all of a sudden, everybody threw him under the bus first September, early October. But there's a certain person here could see the turnaround. When they hung the 54 on the Jets that time, and they just kept scoring. I thought, wow, look at this team. I mean, I could see some changes. And New England is a team I follow pretty closely. And New England is an underdog. Very, very, very good winning record. Matter of fact, the look-ahead line had Buffalo minus 3.5. The 3 now is minus 2.5. But my lean is still going to be on the Patriots, even though, and this is the false favorite, what I call the false favorite. I think the wrong team's favored. New England should be favored by 2.5. But no more than 3. Because Buffalo is a good team, but they got beat by Jacksonville. So I want you to remember that. They were 14.5-point road favorites, and they got 2 field goals. They lost 9-6. Remember that? It could happen to any team. I'm not picking on Buffalo, but I think New England's still going to win this game. Now let me pull up the article here on the history here. Well, I saw the article that said that the COVID protocol. I'm just not going to play the game because they're manipulating the games with this stuff. There you have it. Thank you, and stay tuned for the next video.